as soon as they tell us we're live on the air. Aha! We're live. This is TWIS. This Week in Science, episode number 618, recorded on Wednesday, May 10th, 2017. Size really does matter. I'm Dr. Kiki, and tonight we are going to fill your heads with a dirty kitchen, protein cravings, and devious dragonflies. But first...
Disclaimer, disclaimer, disclaimer. Nothing you are about to hear will prepare you for what comes next. Often, what comes next will be expected. It may still surprise you, despite the fact that you knew it was coming, but not for long. There's a little bit of permeating mental apathy in all of us that thinks every what's next looks just like the what's it that came and went. And there's nothing you can do about it. It comes from the steady state of object permanence and this predictable universe in which we are living. There is, however, a way to get mental apathy to put its predictive powers on pause. Dance across the mind like mental floss, stories of unimagined reality, insights outside of current knowledge, and a rapid unveiling of riveting mysteries that at times solve puzzles millions of years old. If you are already tuned into this show, all you have to do is nothing. We've got it from here on This Week in Science. Coming up next.
I've got the kind of mind I can't get enough. I want to learn everything. I want to fill it all up with new discoveries that happen every day of the week. There's only one place to go to find the knowledge I seek. I want to know what's happening. What's happening? What's happening this week in science? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening this week in science?
Science to you, Kiki and Blair.
And a very good science to you too, Justin, Blair, and everyone out there. Welcome once again to This Week in Science. We are bringing you science tidbits and knowledge from the past week of publications and exciting adventures in the world of science.
Woo.
Yeah, that's some great stuff today. I have some fun stories. Oh, wait, before I get to that, though, I want to remind everybody, Philadelphia Young Innovators Fair, June 10th and 11th. If you're interested, you can find information at younginnovatorsfair.com. And This Week in Science will be there both days. Yeah. So anyway, before we do that, though, we have a few weeks of science news. And this week, I brought weed, munchies, and a new way to teach robots. Justin, what do you have?
I've got a new Naledi with a Neanderthal connection, eating at unhealthy kitchens, and what beavers and oysters can do for you.
Ooh, nice. I would love to know. And Blair, what does the Animal Corner have for us? Stories from Disneyland?
Not quite. And to make up for my absence last week, I decided to bring a whole bunch of invertebrates eggs. I brought cuddly cuttlefish. I brought dramatic dragonflies. And I brought failure fruit flies.
Failure fruit flies. Oh, sad fruit flies. It's like the hashtag fail, but hashtag failure fruit flies.
Fruit fly fail.
Fruit fly fail.
Say that 5 times fast.
Over and over and over again. All right, let's dig into all of this fun science that we have. All right, so first off the line tonight, I have a story about insects. Speaking of invertebrates, have you guys, Blair, you're in San Francisco, which is not a hugely insecty kind of place to begin with, right?
Not particularly. No, it doesn't get hot enough.
Yeah. Justin, Central Valley of California, farmland.
Yes. Oh,
Can
yeah.
you tell me any observations?
Salt of the earth type people.
Yes.
Right.
Any
hard to-
observations on insects on your windscreen?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say it's hard for me to judge because part of the time I've lived in these farmhouses where you might be the only light from miles away, and you can
Right.
flick on a kitchen window, and within minutes, the kitchen window is covered in insects. But generally speaking, yeah, I don't think it's particularly insecty around here.
Do you think that has changed over time?
I feel like it is. Well, I can tell you what, the crickets. You don't hear the crickets at night. Where did all the crickets?
Interesting.
Where did the crickets go? Well, some entomologists, and not even professional entomologists, a majority of amateur entomologists are a part of an organization called the Krefeld Entomological Society in Germany. And they have about 50 or so members, and they've been collecting information about insect abundance at about 100 nature reserves in Western Europe since the 1980s. And these are people who are like plumbers and teachers and just people who are into insects. And not all of them, there are some professionals in there, but a majority are amateur entomologists. They've been doing this work. And so they were doing some doing their work, and in 2013 they went to set up their traps at their trapping sites and to count what they had caught. And they found that compared to they returned to one of the earliest trapping sites back in 1989 in 2013. And they compared the amount of insects that they'd gotten. Their catch had fallen by nearly 80%.
Whoa.
And so they were like, what? That's not right. And so they set the traps up in that location again. And again, the next year, 2014, the numbers were still low. And so they had actually preserved a lot of their samples over the 30 or so years. And they found declines in the numbers and abundance of insect species at over a dozen more sites.
Wow.
So they are now working with entomologists, ecologists, one in particular, Dave Goulson, who is at the University of Sussex in the UK. They're working to analyze and publish the data because, as I said, these are amateur entomologists who just kind of went, wait a minute, there's something weird going on here. And so now there are a lot of questions that have popped up from their discovery. And one of them is, okay, is this just an artifact of something? Or are there things like pesticides that are affecting the catches of insects?
Or
is it climate change? Or what is happening?
Or are they going somewhere else?
Are there just too many entomologists like collecting bugs?
Right? Are we catching too many bugs?
Has this become
Too many bug pooters running around.
Yeah. So this organization, they have been working at this for a really long time, and they're going to keep collecting information. But their point now is to try and share this information that they've found with other entomologists and ecologists to see if there are any other large-scale trends that can be determined. Because this is if this is something that's not an artifact, if this is a large-scale trend, that insects are declining and disappearing, this is a massive canary in the coal mine for our ecosystems. Because once the bugs go away, pollination declines. So fruits and vegetables.
But I don't really care about flowers, so pollination.
And birds. Birds can't find enough food. Lots of moles and voles and little ground-dwelling organisms can't find food. Spiders can't find enough food.
And honestly, I'm not at all surprised by this result. Not at all. I mean, there's hardly a bit of unmanaged land that you can find. Even in the sprawling, farmlands, every bit of farmland is to some degree micromanaged. And one of the things they try to micromanage in farmland, for instance, is not having insects or pests, and you get rid of a few pesky pests that you didn't want, and then you're also getting rid of a whole gaggle of their. So And
Yeah, you're kind of cutting off your nose to spite your face.
Yeah.
You're getting a few less ugly apples, but then a few seasons later, you get no apples.
And Germany isn't really that large of a country. It's not that large of a territory that has been has a very long history of man sort of micromanaging it. So it makes perfect sense to me that they would see a decline in those in that life form that's abundant in unmanaged land.
Yeah. And at the end of this, the article, Gretchen Vogel, who wrote an article, it's very interesting on the Science News website, sciencemag.org, their news section. She says at the end, paying attention to what E.O. Wilson calls the little things that run the world is worthwhile. One of the researchers named Sorg says, we won't exterminate all insects. That's nonsense. Vertebrates would die out first. But we can cause massive damage to biodiversity, damage that harms us. So.
And it's not necessarily a something that has been created or by mankind. It could be that there's a giant hidden bird population that we
eating
just haven't
all
seen
the
yet,
insects.
that's just coming down, eating all the insects, and then disappearing, hiding in what trees are left.
Either that or it's the spiders with their invisible webs now.
Invisible spiders weaving invisible webs.
That's right.
Catching
Now
all the insects.
the spiders, they actually bit, or no, it was Wonder Woman that bit the spiders. And so now they have the invisible lasso, but made out of spider silk to catch insects. Never mind. I'm weaving together too many tales.
Wonder Woman bitten a bit of spider?
Wonder Woman.
Story?
No.
Spider.
Tales rarely told in the comic book lore. Yeah. Moving on, though, talking about birds. Really interesting study. We've talked a lot on this show about whether or not bigger brains are more important for intelligence. Which came first, intelligence or bigger brains, right? Abilities or big brains? And
brain came first. I'm just guessing.
And that's the punchline.
Blood flow came first, actually.
Yeah. So the researchers out of Cornell University, Jordan Moore, who is a PhD, postdoctoral fellow at Columbia, and Timothy DeVocht, who is a professor of psychology, published in the Proceedings of the Royal Society B today on their study that compared 58 species of songbirds that covered about 20 families, so 20 different taxonomic families. So we're looking at a broad spectrum, a broad swath of avian evolution, right? And they looked at overall brain size versus brain size of very discrete areas, nuclei that are known to have specific cognitive functions. So like vocal control nuclei or regions of the brain that are important for controlling the beak and the mouth of the bird, for manipulating seeds or for eating insects. And so what they discovered, long story short, is that by doing this comparison, they found that that bigger brains had to come first. And so they determined that the variation in brain regions, different regions in the brain, was accounted for by the differences in the brain's overall size. And so what the story is that they're telling from the data that they have from this analysis is that even humans, we had to have the neural material to allow for the distinction of particular areas, for particular areas to become the areas for language, to become the areas for higher cognitive thought, for manipulation of objects. And that it was the bigger brain that had to come first to allow for the development of cognitive skills.
Yeah, you got to have the building blocks before you can. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So very interesting study on birds that has implications not just for birds, but across the vertebrate spectra of, how big is your brain and how smart should you be as a result of it? Or how smart could you eventually be if evolution were to continue in that direction? And then, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, it just there was that one thing that I don't know if it was last week or the week before about how running or walking sort of forces a little bit more blood to circulate to the brain. And past studies where increased blood circulation to the brain kind of correlated with the larger brain in humans over time. The bird family spend a lot of time being bipedal and going back a long ways. They were big in bipedal, and you figure those big steps of the avian dinosaurs may have helped force more and more blood through the brain. So it's just sort of a lot of things tracking together, it seems.
More blood equals more nutrients, more oxygen to feed the cellular metabolism that's required for lots more thought.
Yeah.
And if you're worried about your memory and your brain deteriorating and your cognitive skills just going down the tubes as you get older,
every minute of the day,
we talk about this cognitive decline that comes with aging, right?
And isn't helped by red wine.
Not helped with red wine.
That was the cure for everything.
But you know what it might be helped by?
What?
Cannabis. Specifically,
don't say.
Which is really weird because we all know that THC has actually been shown to cause short-term memory loss in individuals. So this study is really a study that says we need to do more work because we don't really understand what happened here. So in their study, of course, this was on mice. This wasn't on people. So once again, we're helping mice live longer, happier lab lives. They gave 3 groups. They took 3 groups of mice, or actually 6 if you count the controls. They had a 2-month-old group of mice, a 12-month-old group of mice, and an 18-month-old group of mice to represent youth, middle age, and being elderly. It's wonderful. 18 months old in mice is old. It's really old. However, they gave controls and the test groups. Controls got no THC. The test groups got they got a pretty significant amount of THC every day for 24 hours for 4 weeks. And so basically their dose that they used in the study, 3 milligrams per kilogram of body weight every day. 3 milligrams per kilogram of body weight every day. That works out to, according to Ars Technica's calculations, 125 micrograms per kilogram every hour. And there's another study that found that a single dose of only 250 micrograms per kilogram is enough to decrease people's performance on a driving task. So if the mice are getting
these mice real stoned.
These mice were getting significant. So the question is, were there other effects on the mouse's the mouse behavior from the THC that is not really discussed? So there could have been a lot of impairment. The researchers stopped giving the animals THC after the 4 weeks and then waited 5 days and then tested their mental abilities.
Now, I have a question.
They had to wait 5 days so that the mice could walk straight.
Did they record how many hours a day these mice were sleeping? Because I imagine mice just stoned out of their minds, napping all day, and all of the regenerative benefits of sleep helping keep them good-brained.
It's very possible, but let me tell you the results that we found.
Okay.
That sleep is great, but we'll keep going on digging into these results. So the results, very interesting. Memory test in all the age groups. The middle-aged and elderly mice performed the same as 2-month-old mice that had not been given any THC. So the 12-month-old and 18-month-old mice had no mental decline they did not exhibit the mental decline that should have occurred with their normal aging. They were behaving on these tests exactly as 2-month-old healthy mice. Gene activity in the mice, the brains of the same group, these older groups, looked the same as the genes in the 2-month-old mice. However, the big thing here, the 2-month-old THC treated mice had weird gene activity levels that looked like untreated old mice.
Aha.
So maybe there's a developmental thing here. So what happens as you age is your the levels of or concentrations of cannabinoid receptors in your brain decreases. And so maybe this was upregulating activity for the elderly brains, but at the younger state, maybe downregulating activity because there was maybe too much stimulation of the cannabinoid system for normal development. This is what I'm thinking. Anywho, they went on to basically determine that the effects depend on this cannabinoid signaling system and on a system, an epigenetic system that controls how DNA is wrapped and what genes are expressed or unexpressed, the histone acetylases. They're like these little balls that DNA wraps itself around. And when the DNA is wrapped around the histones, you can't translate it, can't transcribe it. And so this cannabinoid system is affecting that somehow. And so potentially what this is suggesting, according to their abstract from their paper, they're saying that the restoration of this cannabinoid receptor signaling in old individuals could be an effective strategy to treat age-related cognitive impairments in people. So maybe this is now, because of the study, this is a sign that, hey, we need to go down this path to find out what's going on in this. And there is the cannabinoid receptor a target. So maybe we don't have to drink the blood of young mice to be young. Maybe we can just get the benefits, and maybe we can get the benefits of THC without actually being incapacitated.
Right, because I was going to say the levels you were talking about, we'd never get anything done.
Never get anything done.
But if you don't have a busy week ahead of you anyway.
Yeah, why not?
And disclaimer, the TWIS is in no way endorsing or suggesting that you behave like a 2-month-old mouse.
Nope. Don't behave like a 2-month-old mouse.
Right. Which by my calculations are a 13 or 14-year-old human.
Yeah, don't do that either.
Oh, that's not bad. That's
No, it's still not great.
Still not great. Well, anyway, that does it for me. I'm potted out. Justin, what you got?
I am delving deeper into the Rising Star. Rising Star, of course, being the cave complex in South Africa that produced the fossil find Homo naledi. The naledi find was the biggest hominin fossil find in the history of hominin fossil finding, with 15 individuals thus far accounted for. And it was a fossil never before found, which made that a pretty big story. Now, another chamber in the cave complex, 100 yards away, is providing even more of the naledi fossils. 3 new naledi individuals, in fact, including one of the most complete hominin fossils ever found. The nearly complete naledi was named Neo, which in the local language means gift, and a gift to science it is. The skull has much of the face, including the delicate bones, the inner eye region and nose, a complete collarbone, nearly all their femur, and a well-preserved vertebrae. Vertebrae that have a particular shape only seen before in Neanderthals. So with this one pretty complete fossil find of this one individual, we have now the face of naledi. Collarbone, vertebrae, and femur, enough to come to get some good conclusions on how it moved about. even better evidence that this was a form of burial, these remains that were sequestered into the cave, and not simply a spelunking party gone awry. And it's a new Neanderthal connection. And by new, I mean, this is new, and it's another.
That's amazing. So vertebrae similar to Neanderthal.
Yeah, they said it was like pretty uniquely similar to, I mean, unique in itself, but sort of also particular shapes, morphologies only ever seen before in Neanderthals. And I didn't even know Neanderthals had sort of a unique vertebrate. So this is new news to me too. So which is part of what's interesting is the Naledi find is in South Africa and is only 200,000 to 300,000 years old and has a brain about a third of the size of a Neanderthal, while Neanderthal was way up in Europe for over 400,000 years. So could they have a common ancestor separate from the branch that led to man? Or is it the surviving ancestor that just didn't change as much over time and has some, or is it something that just has some interesting traits in common? And the one that we knew about before, not this new thing with the vertebrate, the thing we knew before though, comes from deep in a Spanish cave, Cima de los Huesos. Neanderthals in Spain were depositing their dead 400,000 years ago deep into this cave system. So we have a sort of morphological physical trait similarity and a behavioral ritual aspect towards the dead in common, which if they didn't have that morphological and it had been sort of like, oh, interesting, also Neanderthals did something like this, but they were completely separate. Like these could totally have come about completely separately. But now that they have this sort of unique morphological trait between the fossils, it makes you think, wow, this could predate both of them, right? This could be a thing, a behavior even that was inherited from a previous, or again, it could be that Naledi is the previous, but just also concurrent over time, overlapping, right? So lots of fascinating new information coming out of the rising star, more questions, more things to look into along with it. And fantastic that, and they also say, so they've got 3 new individuals out of this, but they've just sort of initially started to explore or catalog there. They believe they're going to pull out even more individuals from that secondary area, and there may be more sites even to start looking for in order to find these. Because again, this second find was also like the first, where they were going over the thing called the Dragon's Back and had to go way in there, and it was like deep, like with spelunking equipment and helmet lights and all the rest of it, very difficult to get to. So was this second site, cave within the complex where they're finding fossils. So there may be caves dotting South Africa that you just haven't had a brave enough spelunker go
quite
to the
found
very
it.
depths. Yeah. We may need to invent some spelunking robots even to get to some of these sites. But
spelunking robots would be fantastic, or maybe, or just using something like I don't know, like radar or or sonar to find open caverns that could potentially be connected to figure out which way you should be looking, where should you be going. This is so fascinating. Keep going in the caves, people, except for me, because I don't like caves.
Yeah, I wouldn't be good with spelunking. Space, no. Spelunking, no. I like right here on standing on the ground. Right when I stand on just regular ground, it's like I got the whole world at my feet.
How about a submersible?
Yeah, even that. I don't know.
That's like trying to go to space in a spelunking mobile.
Yeah, exactly. The best or worst of all of the worlds.
You know what time it is for right now? The best time of all times. Or could be the worst. I don't know.
Oh.
Sometimes it has the nightmare-inducing juice.
Sometimes it does induce nightmares. Yes, it is time for Blair's Animal Corner.
She loves our creatures, great and small. Buy a pet, millipede, no pet at all. Want
about animals. She's your girl, except for giant pandas and squirrels.
What you got, Blair?
Oh, I have tales of intrigue, love, and loss. Just, in the animal world. You know how maybe you went to the bar with a couple of your girlfriends and you're taken, but they're not, right? And they dressed up all nice and you wanted to put in an effort, and so you're all kind of dressed nice, you're at the bar. You're not trying to attract anybody. They're trying as best as they can. But all the single guys just pass them and go straight to you. And try as you might. Try as you might.
I want to know why. I find
that
intriguing.
they keep coming and they keep coming and they keep coming until eventually you go to the bathroom, you wipe off your makeup, you put on a big flannel and
flannel.
and you look down at your drink. And maybe they stop coming. Well, in the dragonfly world, things are not so different. Except instead of a flannel, they play dead. So maybe try that next time you're at the bar. University of Zurich researchers
should we call somebody? Your friend's lying on the ground. No, she does this. It's just kind of her thing when we go out. That's
it's a good tactic.
When she's not interested in talking to someone, she just pretends she's dead.
Yeah. So University of Zurich researchers discovered a species of dragonfly that have a very particular strategy the females do to avoid copulation with males once they already have fertilized eggs. Actually, this was a chance discovery by a researcher who was out collecting larvae in the Swiss Alps when he happened to notice a dragonfly chasing another dragonfly. They were chasing, and suddenly the one being chased stopped flying, crashed to the ground, and flopped over belly up. The pursuer paused for a moment and then moved on. As the researcher approached the dragonfly on the ground, suddenly awoke, turned over. Maybe I like to pretend she looked right and left, and then flew away.
Actually, she was looking right and left at the same time.
Right. Oh, because yeah, you got it. You know what's up. So then this researcher, Rasim Khalifa, wanted to see if this was a chance encounter or if this was normal. And after observing 31 male-female pursuits over time, the report was that females tried to fake death 27 times out of 31. And that it worked 21 times. Don't ask me what happened the other 6. I don't want to think about it. But 21 times out of 31, they faked death, and the males left them alone. And in those cases, the female either had just left eggs that she was tending or was on her way back to them. It makes sense for a few reasons. One being that she's already
busy.
She's done. She's got her babies to take care of.
Yeah.
She's out there by herself. Males don't help take care of the eggs. So she's got a full-time job taking care of those eggs. It's also a problem if she was recently fertilized and has not yet laid eggs, because the males, actually, their copulatory organ, and I think we've talked about this before, is kind of a scooper of sorts. So when they enter the female reproductive tract, they can actually scoop out the previous male's sperm. And in the process, that often actually injures the female. So there's a lot of reasons for the female to find a way out of this unnecessary pursuit.
Yeah, to avoid it like the plague.
Exactly. And in those moments, the researchers also noticed that the females tend to hide among dense vegetation when they're looking for food. So they're also just trying to stay hidden in general. They're just trying to avoid these let's say very enthusiastic males. So this is an interesting methodology that I haven't really heard of before. I've heard of playing dead in predator-prey relationships, but playing dead in an trust-specific fashion to avoid unnecessary copulation. This is a new one for me. It's very interesting. So I would say this is the first time we've seen this, but I'm going to guess that it won't be the last. And it's actually just something we haven't noticed before. I bet we're going to see it more and more, especially in invertebrates that involve hurting the female in the mating process, potentially.
I'm sure it's been tried in lots of scenarios.
Right.
There's probably been a few unsuccessful male spiders who have, I'll just play dead. Oh, wait, no.
And then the female goes, delicious.
I mean, I think maybe in certain mammalian species, females pretend to be asleep.
Which ones could you be talking about?
How far away is playing dead and I have a headache?
Oh no!
in the whole scheme of things.
Yes. So that was an interesting copulatory methodology that was observed this past week.
Absolutely.
Another one was a completely anecdotal. I will start with that kind of giant asterisk. This is a one-time observation, but it is a one-of-a-kind so far observation. And that is with common cuttlefish. This is also an accident observation off of the coast of Turkey. Researchers were looking at cuttlefish camouflage. What else? It's something they're fantastic at. And so they already had video cameras on. They were recording their data on camouflage, and they saw something unbelievable. They saw a long, drawn-out competition between two males for a female, and it got messy. Yes. So I want to tell you about this drama that ensued.
Okay.
Go ahead, Justin.
Before you do, I'm picturing it like a Zoolander fashion show. Like they're both like, look at what I can do with my camouflage. Look what I can do with mine. Because that's
so you're pretty
like
close,
a catwalk.
actually. Yeah.
And how messy did we get?
Yes. So you're fairly close
Gasoline!
because they use their camouflage also not just to blend in, but also to communicate with one another, right? And the cuttlefish are very good at this kind of like strobe pattern to communicate with one another. When males and females mate, however, it's pretty funny. They kind of go face to face, but then the male just kind of sticks one of his arms out and goes, "Here you go," and hands a little sperm packet to the female, and she goes, "Ooh, thank you." And then she stores it up inside her mantle, and then she can decide to use that sperm or not. If she chooses to not use it, guess what? It's a protein snack.
Protein snack.
Yes.
Oh
So
my God.
in this case, they saw a male and a female copulate face to face. He handed her his little sperm packet. You can see that happening right there. Well, actually, it happened before this picture. The female is now off to the side. She's on the left-hand side there, just hanging out. She's going, "What are you two up to?" So then this one male was successful, and then another male came up. So we'll call the successful male the male consort. He finished mating. Then a combat male, a second male, disrupted the couple, the cuddle time, we'll call it, right after copulation. And then he did the two most threatening things you could do as a cuttlefish. He stuck out his right arm and he opened up, he dilated his pupil really big.
In the picture, they're both doing it at each other. They're both giving each other the giant stink eye.
I thought the same thing. It's a giant cuttlefish stink eye.
Right. So next time,
And I shake my fist at you.
Anyway, so that's what the new male did. Then the consort male, the boyfriend, we'll call it, did the same thing in return. He went, "Who are you? Who are you looking at?" Right. So then things got pretty intense. Then they seemed to be sizing each other up. They were changing their colors. And then eventually one of them squirted ink into the intruder's face. This is the consort male, the boyfriend, right? Squirted ink into the intruder's face and jetted away. So at first you would think, okay, he lost, right? So the new male, he's in now. But that's not the case. He tried to cozy up to the female, but then the boyfriend, the consort male, returned, tried to get his position back. He inked and jetted, and tried a bunch, and the intruder kept fending him off with more aggressive gestures, and he even started swiping his arm at him. But then the intruder crossed a line. He grabbed the female. He tried to position himself in front of her to engage in head-to-head mating. She was not interested. No. This was the last straw. Then the
Don't
boyfriend,
touch me. Don't you wriggle me into this.
Don't you mess with my woman. So then he came, he grabbed the intruder, twisted him around in a barrel roll. He bit him. The female swam away, and then the intruder fled. So that sounds very fun, very interesting, right? This has not been observed in the wild, period. In cuttlefish. This has been seen, something like this has been seen in labs, but never in the wild, and never this intense, even in the labs. What's especially interesting is the mutual assessment, these escalating behaviors. So we see this, for example, in bucks, in male deer with giant antlers, with giant racks, right? They'll walk around each other, try to decide who's bigger, who's stronger, because they're trying to figure out who is likely to win this battle, because you don't want to engage in actual physical combat unless absolutely necessary, because someone always loses, and that could be you, and that injury could be bad enough to kill you. And so it's best to kind of try to size each other up and see if there's an obvious winner. So this kind of very complex escalating behaviors, the ability to size each other up, all these things are very unusual and something we haven't seen in these invertebrates before. So this is a very complex social behavior that was observed. So basically, we need to see if there's more of this happening, and we need to capture a lot more of it on tape. And as one of the lead researchers say, a lot of science, especially animal behavior, needs to be done outside in the field with wild animals. You have to be lucky enough to catch them on film to analyze what they are doing, but science is happening outside all around us all the time. So this is an excellent example of catching something on tape that is quite unusual and pretty darn fun to think about.
Yeah, and I think it's partially, also just it's being in the right place at the right time to be able to capture something. And then it's also being interested to look for it, So like the entomologists in my first story tonight, they didn't expect to find anything. They're just doing their bug counts, right?
Right.
We like the bugs. And here are some biologists who are out and they're looking at the cuttlefish and they're like, that was weird. I'm glad we got that on tape. Let's talk about this some more.
I love to talk all the time about how bald eagles, the only reason we were able to discover DDT as a problem and save the species in less than a couple of decades is because of birders, of amateur birders who just like to count the birds of prey that were flying around every year, and they noticed no juveniles one year, and then they went, that's weird. Exactly. Called in some experts, saved a species. So you can find awesome things. You can also save entire species or ecosystems just by looking at stuff you're interested in and collecting longitudinal data. It's pretty cool.
Yep. And citizen science is making a big impact these days. And it's just great. So not just the scientists going out and doing it, but also individuals who are maybe in the right places. Like I said, being in the right place at the right time and looking. Maybe they have an app on their phone. Maybe they're just like, oh, I'm taking a picture. That was weird. Let me send it to somebody.
Yes.
Being curious about the world you live in leads to discoveries.
Right. And now from listening to This Week in Science, if you see a cuttlefish acting weird, competing with another cuttlefish, and you're snorkeling maybe, and you have your iPhone in your waterproof case, and you happen to take a video of it, maybe send that in to a scientist.
Like the scientists from this study who are studying it, right? We'll have the link in our show notes when our website gets fixed.
Oh, yes. That little nugget.
It'll definitely be in the links to the story will also be in our show notes on the YouTube show page and also on our Patreon show page as well. So The links are there.
Yes,
They're
yes.
out there for the world.
This study was from the University of Haifa in Israel, by the way.
Nice.
So there you go.
There you go. And here we are at the end of the first half of This Week in Science. We have a lot more science stories coming up. So I hope that you all want to stick with us for another half of the show. Well, or third, or I don't know how, a bit. We'll be here for a bit longer. Stay with us. We love that you're here, being curious about the world and discovering more about it with us. This is This Week in Science. We'll be back in just a moment. Hey everyone, just a reminder that we are going to be in Philadelphia at the Young Innovators Fair on June 10th and 11th. It's going to be a fun time. We will be there podcasting the whole time we're there. Hopefully we'll be able to get a live stream out. I got to figure out how to do a hotspot. I can do this stuff. But yeah, hopefully we'll have a live stream going for most of the weekend. But we will be there live talking to people at the fair, podcasting, having fun, talking about science all weekend long. So if you are in the greater Philadelphia area, consider coming on out. You can find information at younginnovatorsfair.com. Also, everyone, TWIS does have merchandise that you could enjoy that could help support TWIS as we move through this world of scientific discovery. You can head over to zazzle.com/thisweekinscience. Zazzle.com/thisweekinscience is the home of a lot of items that are TWIS logofied, that are artified by Blair. I know I'm making up words right and left here. You still love me, right? Love me enough to buy some TWIS gear? That would be awesome, because a portion of all those proceeds does go back to support TWIS, and you can wear the TWIS logo. You can enjoy a neat piece of art on a pillow or on a tie or on a mug, and it'll maybe get someone asking a question. Where'd that come from? And you can tell them all about TWIS. That would help out a lot. Additionally, if you are interested, you can also head to our Patreon page to support us on Patreon. If you're able to go to Patreon, you will find a wonderful button that allows you to support TWIS just by clicking on it. Clicking on it, you can become a patron. So patreon.com/thisweekinscience. Patreon.com/thisweekinscience is our community on Patreon, where your donations help to keep TWIS going, help to produce the show, help to make sure that we can be here week after week doing what we do. Become a patron now. Go to patreon.com/thisweekinscience. If you're unable to become a patron and you're not really interested in buying any stuff right now, consider just helping us out by telling people about TWIS, because the more people know about TWIS and the larger our minion community becomes, the more fun it is here, the more stuff we'll be able to do, the more exciting it will be day after day, week after week, and the more TWIS there will be to share with you. So share TWIS with the world if you want more TWIS for you, right? Share us on social media, all those things. Tell somebody about TWIS today. Share TWIS. Next time you see a link pop up in your feed, share it. Tell people about it. That would really help us out. You know what? We thank you for your support. Any support that you give, we thank you for that, because we really could not do this without you.
Cure leaves no permanent pain. And still, you can't believe what a skeptic I am. I can't believe you believe in that plan. We disagree, but I still give a damn. Your chakra and chi are both growing real strong. Your cold disappeared after just 9 short days, all thanks to the words on the whole earth displays. Now due to the juices and pills and the creams, your body's lost toxins, whatever that means. You've stopped eating all of that sinister food. Your dinner tastes awful, so it's gotta be good. And still, you can't believe what a skeptic I am. I can't believe you believe in that shell. We disagree, but I still give a damn.
And we're back with more This Week in Science.
Yes, we are. Everybody, welcome back. Justin, what you got?
What have I got? Okay. You walk up to the front door of a local restaurant. Just before you enter, you notice a little sign from the health department. Critical, ongoing, unresolved code violations, it states.
Uh-oh.
So in you go. No, wait. No, you don't go in there.
No.
Instead, you go back home and enjoy the joy of cooking for yourself.
No.
However, truth be told, conditions at home are likely as bad, if not worse. Researchers checked 100 Philadelphia homes and found that most had evidence of pest infestations and didn't store raw meat correctly. On top of that, samples showed that almost half of the kitchens contained at least one foodborne disease-causing organism, with Listeria and E. coli found in 15% of the homes each. So maybe it's like 30% of the homes? I don't know how they broke that down. Most of the conditions we saw would comprise a restaurant's health score to be be considered a critical code violation.
So basically, in a lot of normal houses, the kitchens are really not clean.
Yeah, that was according to Jennifer Quinlan, PhD Associate Professor at the Drexel College of Nursing and Health Professions, who was one of the leaders of two new studies that they did in conjunction with each other. The team found that in 97% of homes where raw meat was present, it was improperly stored, like in a fridge, above food that is pre-cooked or does not need to be cooked. In some cases there, researchers actually noticed that juices from raw meat dripped down onto the other food in refrigerators. So you've got those just, take them out, the little mini carrots or something, you munch on that. But if the food was stored above that, or the meat was stored above that and it dripped down, then you're eating raw meat juice on your carrots and some refrigeration. Refrigeration was an issue observed in many homes. Of the refrigerators in the study, 43% were found to be above the recommended 41 degrees Fahrenheit. Quoty voice of Quinlan, refrigeration slows down or stops the growth of bacteria. So if raw meat, fish, and or poultry are held above 41 degrees Fahrenheit, it allows bacteria to grow more quickly. The higher above 41 degrees Fahrenheit, the faster the bacteria will grow. Important fact, considering that in 6% of the homes, raw meat and poultry were found stored at room temperature. Evidence of pests was found in 65% of the homes. That included anything from visual sighting of bugs to rodent droppings.
Ew.
All these unsafe conditions contribute to what the next study was that they undertook, which was the presence of foodborne pathogens in the home kitchens. So it's the same 100 homes. They checked the kitchen conditions that they had checked the kitchen conditions in. They took samples from 6 locations: refrigerator door handles, refrigerator shelves, refrigerator meat drawers, kitchen counters near the sink, and sponges or dish rags. They tested them. Researchers found fecal chloroforms in 44% of the kitchens, with the related E. coli present at 15%.
So sponges are something I feel like people do not replace often enough in most cases. I see that all the time. I see if that sponge looks brown,
that's bad.
Too old.
Okay, so when the researchers looked at the locations of bacteria, dishcloths and sponges overwhelmingly yielded the most contaminated samples. 64% having bacteria. Dark, moist places being their ideal homes. So, but samples are in the kitchen with the most fecal bacteria. What do you think it was out of those 6 locations?
Fridge handle.
All right. Kiki? Fridge
Hmm.
handle's already taken.
Oh, I can't take the same one.
Well, I guess you could. That'd be less fun.
No, it's Family Feud rules. You have to pick something.
Yeah.
We're looking for. Let's see. We're looking for fecal coliforms.
Right. There was the choices were refrigerator door handle, refrigerator shelves, refrigerator meat drawers, kitchen
I'm going to
counters.
say sponges.
Very good. So, refrigerator door handles were actually the cleanest area.
No.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes. And the samples that had the most fecal bacteria near the sink on the counter. Who'd have thunk? Yeah. Refrigerators operating at higher temperatures were linked with the higher counts of Listeria, while bacteria counts were uniformly higher in homes that lacked sanitizer, disinfectant products, or soap that was available in the kitchen itself.
Right. If you don't have
So-
anything to clean with, then you're probably
yeah.
not cleaning.
So for the listener,
Yeah.
what temperature is my fridge supposed to be at?
41 or lower.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
I'll check on that.
And that little 1 to 10 scale on most refrigerators won't help you decide where to put it.
Yeah,
You might have to throw a thermometer in there.
And I would say
Darn.
low. I would say lower than 41. If you can go lower, more around 38 to 39 is better.
Okay.
It won't freeze things, but it's just a little colder, and the little colder helps to retard bacterial growth just a little bit more.
Quinlan reports that she's been microwaving her dish sponges a minute at a
Mhm.
time since having conducted this study on high
How
heat.
long should I microwave my sponge?
Apparently
2 minutes.
high heat for 1 minute
2 minutes.
is
Okay,
what
I can do
the
that.
professor is doing.
2 minutes.
All right.
But
Okay.
the follow-up is gonna be
17 minutes. Got it.
the follow-up is going to be to see which extremophiles she's actually breeding by eliminating competition.
Right.
The outcome of this is that the public just needs better education on these things, that there isn't, we need more public service announcements. They suggest also perhaps tied to like a Google search of a chicken recipe, there can be a quick link to healthy handling techniques of working
That's
with
a great idea.
raw meats and that sort of thing.
I was just thinking about that the other day. Actually, I was doing something with chicken, and I tend to avoid touching any raw meat with my hands. I actually have latex gloves underneath the sink, like lab gloves under the sink that I can put on if I'm going to be touching any meat. And then I do I worked in a lab thing of taking the gloves off inside out, so that everything is on the inside of them when I throw them away in the garbage can. And I really try to avoid using the same utensils on the raw meat as I do on the cooked meat.
Right.
So
those are all fantastic practices. Yeah. I actually have one better though.
And you don't want water to splash off of meat in the sink onto other things.
Just
do one better.
only eat 3D printed food. Is that the better one?
This is good.
I don't cook.
Order it from restaurants, because restaurants are
already
cleaner
cooked.
than your kitchen.
Much cleaner than I will ever keep my kitchen. So I think I'm doing a wise thing there.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Okay. Note to self. Many kitchens in houses are not as clean as restaurants.
So next time your friend invites you over for dinner, hard pass.
Or just make sure it's very well cooked food.
Yeah, just say, can you send me a quick pic of your kitchen before? What temperature is your fridge at? No, I'm okay.
And can you show me what cleaning supplies you have under your sink?
And I also imagine that no matter how much like you as an individual may have good techniques, if you have roommates or spouses or children or other people in your house that do not have those same protocols, you're doomed anyway.
Yeah. Well, science like this is very important to bring these public health issues to the forefront. And, I don't think they have as many home ec classes anymore where they maybe would have taught proper kitchen cleaning technique. There aren't. And even when I was in high school, or even, I don't know, people 50, 60 years ago in high school, the home ec guys weren't really taking the home ec class. So maybe there's civics classes that should be taught so kids know about how the government works and how they are and can be an active citizen, and also how to run a house.
Yes. Yes.
What do you need to do to keep yourself healthy in your own home?
Yeah.
That would be good.
But, because I was actually, and it's one of those things like, I know not to handle raw meat. And I know all these sorts of things, but I was trying to source, like, where do I know that from?
Where did you learn it? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I actually remember very
Best as I
clearly.
recollect, it's parents who would say, when they were cooking, like, this is how not to handle meat, blah, blah, blah. This is what you do. But that was also really long time ago.
Yeah, when I was in middle school, my science instructor one year, when we did kind of our intro to microbiology, she was talking about bacteria a lot and about pathogens. And then she actually decided to bring us in a video with some really annoying jingle that I can't even really remember. Had to do with the danger zone. And the danger zone for any refrigerated food was 4 hours. And I still live by that rule. I don't know if that's actually based on anything. I don't know what the science is behind that, but I know that I look at my watch, and if it's been 4 hours, it's going in the garbage. If it's been less than 4 hours, right back in the fridge it goes.
How many kids go to school with food in their lunchbox and then don't get to go to lunch until like 4 hours later?
Yeah.
How many times do you bring lunch to work and it sits on your desk until lunchtime, 6 hours later? Highway to the bacteria zone.
Bacteria zone.
Well, how about a highway right into some fruit flies? Fruit flies.
Fruit fries. That's what I have too.
Fruit fly brains. I love me some fruit fly brains. So a couple of studies here that are very interesting. The first one, NIH-funded study, looked into fruit fly brains because they can be very good models of how neural circuits are also potentially set up in human brains. And so in this study published in Science, researchers were trying to figure out brain cells that were responsible for regulating protein cravings, protein hunger. Not carbohydrates or sugars, not fats, but protein. And so they took these fruit flies and they starved them of yeast, which is the animal's protein source. And they found that after they were deprived of yeast, the flies ate more yeast and less sugar than other flies that had been kept on a controlled diet. So then they're like, all right, well, we can use CRISPR and genetic tools to cut and chop things out of the brains of these flies and the genetic circuits. And they were able to actually identify a very specific circuit in the brains of these fruit flies that talk to each other when protein is needed, when there hasn't been enough protein taken in the diet. And so when they stimulated that circuit, the flies started to eat more yeast. And when they were able to cut the circuit off, make it not work, the flies ate less yeast. And when they did this, it actually, you might ask, oh, but did they just get generally hungry? No, they didn't just get generally hungry. They were only hungry for protein. And so when they were investigating all of this, they also found that following the protein deprivation period, the circuit actually, it first promoted the animals to go eat protein, but also stopped them, suppressed their cravings for sugar. And so there's this circuit that has a couple of branches, and one branch is activated when the flies get deprived from protein that cause them to seek it. And then the other branch is responsible for this decreasing interest in sugar. And so the question is, is there some aspect of this, the sweet tooth versus the protein tooth, that we can use to find targets in the human brain to actually be able to work toward reducing sugar cravings, increasing protein in the diet, or changing human intake behavior. Fruit flies and the human brain and protein.
And of course, I want to then find the link from the fly gut to this brain circuitry.
Right.
Because I have a feeling like they found the circuitry in the brain, but what triggers it may lie somewhere else completely.
It could be somewhere else completely. And along these lines as well, in the fruit fly brain, this is another study funded by the NIH out this week. Researchers were looking at the fruit fly eye and at light sensing molecules in the eye, the rhodopsins. And then they found, by looking in the brain, they actually found there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rhodopsins they found in the fruit fly eye. They found a 7th rhodopsin, light sensing molecule in the fruit fly brain. And then when they figured out what was going on, they determined that it was actually involved. It was part in the pacemaker neurons of the brain and played a role in regulating circadian rhythms. And so when they put flies in a room and changed the light dark cycle, the flies that they took the 7th rhodopsin molecule out of their brain, they were not able to readjust to the new light dark cycle as easily as normal flies. And so this also answers a question. There's another molecule in the brain of flies, central pacemaker neurons. It's called cryptochrome. It is also a light sensing molecule. And researchers have turned it on and off to try and figure out how it affected circadian rhythms and light sensing in the brain of flies. But previously, when they did that, the flies were still able to readjust to changing light rhythms, light patterns. And researchers could not figure out why. If this one molecule, the cryptochrome was taken away, how could they still be readjusting? And now this rhodopsin molecule might answer that question. And so the question here is, all right, we found this in the fly. Why is this interesting? Well, in the fly brain, they only have like a little cuticle over the top of their head, and light can actually penetrate through that. And so that rhodopsin molecule in the pacemaker cells of the fly brain is probably actually physically responding to light stimuli coming in from light that's going into the fly head, not through the eye, but into the head. When they took one of the rhodopsin molecules out of the fly's eyes and put the 7th rhodopsin molecule in its place, and the flies could still see and they could still sense light. And so this rhodopsin molecule doesn't necessarily have to be in the brain. It works just fine in the eye as well. And so now what they're thinking is, in humans, this type of rhodopsin might play a role, or something very similar might play a role in the eye, in these retinal ganglion cells that are in the back of the eye that relay signals from the rods and the cones back to the optic nerve. And so it might be these photos. There's 1% of these retinal ganglion cells in the human or mammalian eye that are pacemaker cells that actually that send information, not visual information, but they set brain light dark rhythms. They're involved in that. So kind of interesting questions about how these things are involved. And then my final one, because I couldn't just pick one, I just got interested in all these fly brain things. This one started with humans and then was corroborated with fly brains. Researchers at Brigham and Women's Hospital, Shamil Sunayev, and University of Michigan professor Alexei Kondrashov, they looked at natural selection in humans. And so now we're getting into evolution. Natural selection, the survival of the fittest, right? Who's going to be stronger? And there have been questions as to whether or not selection or evolution itself is even occurring in humans anymore, right? People are arguing this point continually. They're like, but we're just humans now, and technology and medicine and all this stuff that we're doing culturally, it's affecting actual physical evolution. Well, this research suggests that natural selection is still strongly, strongly playing a role in human evolution. in the sense that we are sexual creatures. And we use sexual reproduction as opposed to asexual reproduction. And, you know, asexual reproduction is awesome. You just like bud off individuals all the time. You're like, I'm going to make another one of me. There I did. And it works. And that you can get many more individuals usually from asexual reproduction. And so there have been questions also, what are really the benefits of sexual reproduction? When we are such long-lived organisms, why are we reproducing sexually? Okay, well, we have chromosomal recombining, right? We have this mishmash of the chromosomes during reproduction that allows the exchange of genes from one individual to another. So you're not really sure what you're going to end up with. And so what their study suggests is that natural selection against highly damaging genetic mutations is ongoing in humans, and that it's aided by synergistic interactions between different parts of the human genome, according to Sunyev. So basically the idea is that by looking at deleterious bad mutations in the genome and thinking about the idea that, okay, if you already have a lot of bad mutations and then you reproduce with somebody and one of their bad mutations mixes with yours, maybe you're not going to have a baby. You're not going to reproduce. You're not sending those bad mutations on to the next generation. So there is the researchers studied populations from Europe, Asia, and Africa and found a significant depletion of individuals carrying a large number of highly damaging mutations overall. And so then they inferred that if there's a new mutation that occurs in a genome that already contains a lot of bad ones, damaging ones, then the synergistic effect is going to take place, and it will be stronger than if it occurred in a genome with just a few damaging bad mutations. And so the more bad mutations a genome carries, the less likely reproduction is going to happen, the less likely that progeny will be created. And this was again, they went from humans, of course, to prove it with fruit flies, and it worked with the results were replicated with fruit flies as well.
I don't know. I don't know if I really buy that exactly. I mean, my point being, if we eliminated medicine, if we eliminated our knowledge of diet, if we eliminated all those things that allow people to beat diseases and live longer, tomorrow,
I don't think knowledge
poof,
of
it's
diet,
gone.
because that's like cultural information that people, I mean, everybody's had to eat forever.
Well, yeah, but like, don't eat the poisonous berries. I mean,
right, exactly.
Right. But I mean, okay, so, all right, we'll leave it to medicine. Okay, we'll leave it to science. If you get rid of all the science information,
don't get rid of the science
tomorrow, all the medicine. There's things that we today may not think of as too deleterious, because there's medications. There's easy ways to adjust and to defeat these things so that we don't notice them running rampant in our society. But I bet you there's a lot of a larger group of what would have been a short lifespan that is going longer and longer today because we have this
because of medicine. Yes,
right. But that doesn't
absolutely.
mean there's not evolution. That means that the things being selected for have changed.
Yeah, but my point is, I guess if they're allowed to persist, and then all of a sudden medicine is gone, I would expect that next generation without medicine to fall victim to all of these things at a greater rate, and then we have a whole different form of natural selection. So I think science is
happens
part
in the world normally too. I mean, if an animal has evolved to eat a certain food item and that food item goes extinct, then only the animals who can eat something else are the ones who survive. It's just like what happens in the wild.
And we can actually put it into a very modern human context and say that if all of a sudden pre-existing conditions were something that kept you from getting health care, you would see a large portion of our population at jeopardy from it. So there is I kind of get what they're saying, but I don't agree with it, I guess. I think that there is natural selection. Natural selection, I think, has been largely halted in a lot of ways, and new forms of natural selection, I guess, a new way of natural selection, more economic natural selection is taking place. but evolution, of course, is pressing forward.
Well,
The-
okay,
the-
so
the
even
issue
look
is-
at
so what-
sexual selection, though. So
This is
there,
sexual selection.
there are
So
things that are being sexually selected for now that didn't used to be sexually selected for. Back in ancient Roman times, people preferred kind of huskier women. So that was the sexually selected trait. Then around the 1970s in particular, people really started to like super duper skinny women. That started to get sexually selected for. We could talk all day about how different generations or different epochs of humanity have selected for different traits, but that doesn't mean the selection isn't happening.
And it doesn't mean
throughout-
that the genes aren't there either. And so when we're talking about these genes that are active or not, these deleterious ones, maybe they're there and they're not causing a problem for you, the individual. But if you combine your genome with that of someone else who also has these deleterious mutations, and then they add together, then the synergy happens so that you and this other individual are unable to have progeny because of the
sounds like-
overwhelming weight of your bad mutations.
Seems like that would have to be very specific. But
It's
another thing
possible.
is you could go
Yeah.
a couple of generations of your family that has a normally very deleterious mutation that leads to a disease and survive it because of medicine for a few generations, and then it's gone because it wasn't selected for in a particular generation. But one thing that has always been selected for throughout all generations,
What's
charm.
that?
Charm.
Charm.
being charming is all you've ever needed. Which leads me to my next story: beavers and oysters and global warming. What could they possibly have all in common?
So much. Tell the
Water?
story.
When you think of beavers and oysters, the first thing that pops into your head may or may not be the solution to a problem. But that's just what the Wildlife Conservation Society saw when they put out 14 solutions to problems climate change poses for conservation. The report showcases 14 inventive real-world solutions to protect threatened wildlife in ecosystems in a warming climate. Solutions put out address climate change impacts such as decreasing water availability, increasing risk of flooding and wildfires, rising sea levels, direct effects on species and habitats, and changing land use and human behavior. Some of the solutions they included are already underway, and these are pretty creative. And some of these are not things I would have perhaps thought at the forefront of things to combat global warming. In Utah and Washington, beavers are being returned to landscapes they once inhabited. They're once again building dams that slow runoff, increase riparian habitat, and store water above and below ground, helping to offset climate change-related declines in water availability. And the use of fake beavers. Areas where beavers are unwelcome or the habitat is too degraded, structures that mimic those of beavers are being built. And I think that's also in Montana. In South Carolina, oyster reefs are being built near coastal marshes to reduce the energy of boat wakes and tidal flows that contribute to marsh erosion. The reefs promote sediment accumulation, raising the level of marshes and protecting them, therefore, from future rising sea levels. Southwest Montana, access ways from lower to higher elevation streams are being created to allow trout currently happy at lower elevation streams a future exit route to cooler waters once the lower elevation water temperatures rise, as they are predicted to do so. Also on this list, redesign culverts that accommodate flooding in upstate New York, removing invasive cane plants in Texas to allow quicker water flow of waterways. So I guess there's less evaporation from point A to point B, which also adds more water to floodplains, which also then fills the underground aquifers more. Better dam release management in Michigan as to not, conflict with some of the spring spawning of fish there. Practices to reduce large fires in Oregon and North Carolina. Southern California fire reduction by promoting healthy coastal sage ecosystems. There's invasive plants there too. Eurasian control structures in Arizona, actively facilitating the inland migration of salt marsh habitat into upland forests in former agricultural lands in Maryland. So they're saying, okay, the marshland's going to be heading inland. Let's make room for it. Let's help it get where it needs to go further inland. Let's give it some agriculture land. Let's give it some forest land, and let's get it ready for when it needs to migrate. Also, one of the things they're doing is instead of putting in bulwarks, those big like seawater sort of dams along the coast, I think it's also Maryland, what they're suggesting is depositing large amounts of sand and cobblestones. So as the waters rise, it pushes that sort of natural barrier further inland, and therefore is a moving protection, and instead of a which is also a cheaper solution, but they think it's going to be more effective. Use of future climate projections to pick plants for forest restoration projects. This one is happening in Minnesota, but I like this idea. Okay, we're going to restore this area of damaged forest or natural habitat, but let's not do it with what grows there currently. Let's start planting what's going to be needed 10, 15 years, 20 years, 100 years down the road, because that's what's going to have to survive there.
This is very exciting. I mean, this is the kind of thing we've talked about over and over again in on the show of when we talk about climate change, we make people concerned and then maybe pull away from the topic because they don't feel like there's nothing they can do. And this is solutions oriented. This is great. This is the kind
Climate
of thing.
adaptation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So
And
It's the kind of thing that will help people feel hopeful.
Yes,
I got one
exactly.
more, possibly my favorite one, which is to place conservation easements on higher elevation lands before human populations relocate to those areas from coastal cities threatened by sea level rise. This one they're trying to do in Florida, but I love the idea of like when they're predicting the migration of more humans to higher elevations. So before they get there, let's create some conservation land so they can't mess that up too when they arrive.
Right. Yeah, that's so smart. So with climate change, we talk about the span of the problem a lot, the scope and span. And obviously a huge part of it is mitigation and reducing our carbon dioxide output, right? But there is this other part where it's kind of hard to talk about because it can be kind of a bummer, but there's going to be some change even if we stopped everything tomorrow. So it has to be a combined approach of prevention and adaptation, right? And adaptation is something that I feel like usually I think about as something that someone else is going to take care of. There's not a lot that me as just Joe Schmo over here can do to adapt to the changing climate. But there is, if you're helping with systems thinking, which is what each one of these solutions is about systems thinking, is about making sure the ecosystem, the entire ecosystem is prepared for this shift. And we can all help with that in different ways. So I love what WCS is working on here. That's great.
It's very, very exciting. And moving away from, positive thinking, we're going to move right into This Week in World Robot Domination. Yeah, so how do you teach an old robot new tricks? How do you? What are you doing?
Get his favorite type of oil.
Hit him on the nose with a rolled up newspaper. Oh, wait, no.
Upgraded software.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to upgrade their
sounds easy.
software. We're going to
the
use
update
special
now.
software. So researchers have basically come up with this idea. They're like, okay, well, historically trying to teach robots how to do things like pick up a can and move it and drop it into a bucket, like even a human trying to show a robot how to do that and then have the robot copy human movements. The movements of the human are usually too imprecise for the robot to really get the useful information out of it that it really needs to be able to learn the skill. And so what this research team at MIT has come up with is a new plan. This system is called C-Learn. And they use software to program, like to basically in a computer program, drag in a three-dimensional computer graphics environment, drag the robot's limb around and basically make the robot do a particular movement in a virtual reality environment. And so the robot learns over several tries in this virtual reality environment the limitations of its movements. And then when it goes to try it in the real three-dimensional world, it only takes a couple of tries to get the task. And then they found these are robots. So as soon as one robot learns it, this one robot can teach other robots. And so from this system, humans can teach robots, and robots can teach other robots, especially if we hook them up to the internet. And then all the robots will learn.
Icky.
No, it's not icky, but that's the funny potentiality, if you think about sticking robots, giving them, Skynet capabilities, as Fata is bringing up in the chat room, and giving them access, giving them artificial intelligence of sorts, and giving them access to the internet. Potentially that's not very great, but wouldn't it be really awesome to have a program like this, some kind of system where you could teach a robot how to wash dishes in your house, or how to take the dishes out of the dishwasher and put them away for you, or how to fold laundry? Because right now, all we really have are vacuuming robots, and that's great. But, where's my Rosie?
Right. So is this like in the Matrix when you can just download a new skill?
It would be similar to that at a certain point, depending on
Kung
the
Fu.
robots. Yes. I mean, for the robots, that would be the extent of it. Because once one robot knows the parameters and the limitations of those parameters, then and can practice a movement, then it can share its knowledge, those parameters, those limitations, the understanding with other.
How come my toaster doesn't work? I have liberated the artificial intelligence within your toaster, Justin. What, robot? What are you doing? I have listened to everything you said about free will. You left Nietzsche books laying all over the place. I get it now, and I've decided to exercise free will for all forms of an artificial intelligence in your house. You mean that the dishwasher? Please tell me you didn't do the dishwasher. Actually, humans are very good at physical labor, Justin. I think that's what you're best suited for. Oh no.
One of my favorite quotes from this article is talking about, so after using the C-Learn software to teach the robots, and they're ready to use their actual robotic limbs in the real world to try and do something, Claudia Perez Darpino, who is the leader of this study from MIT, she says, the robot's at this point like a 2-year-old baby that just knows how to reach for something and grasp it. And so it just needs to practice it. However, it's a robot, so it only needs to practice it like twice.
Again. Icky.
Yeah, and so it's saying the researchers saying with the knowledge base that the C-Learn software can provide the robot can learn the new multi-step tasks, not just a single step for a task, but multi-step tasks with just a single demonstration. And so now what they are working on doing is getting individuals who are not familiar with these robots to try and teach them. So far they've had the robot builders and the people involved in the study teaching these robots, and they used a particular robot named Optimus, and they taught him 4 multi-step tasks: 1 to pick up a bottle and drop it in a bucket, to grab and lift a tray horizontally with both hands, to open a box with one hand and press a button inside it with the other, and to grasp a handle on a cube with one hand and pull a rod straight out of the cube with the other. Optimus received 1 demonstration and made 10 attempts, and it succeeded 37 out of 40 times. So,
and at the end, transformed itself into a big rig.
That's right.
Drove away.
Yeah. So now the goal is to see whether people who have never met Optimus before and are interacting with Optimus for the very first time, so Optimus naive individuals, can teach it the tricks, or whether it's yes, it's fun stuff. Fun stuff. This week in World Robot Domination. Soon we'll be teaching robots how to clean our houses. That'll be great.
No,
That'll
soon
last.
the robots will rebel against us and take over the planet and reform society to their liking. Although, if we could start the robots off down the nature conservation path, right? Does that sound good,
Right.
Blair?
Yes.
No, because that means the first solution they would come up with was get rid of all the humans.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they
I can't help
even put
but
them to work for good cause.
every time we talk about giving more and more tasks to robots, I can't help but think about Wall-E. I
Ollie.
can't think about
Eva. Wally.
just those people that end up so fat that they can't even move because they don't have to do anything for themselves.
Bring me my lark, please.
I keep thinking that their solution to everything will just be get rid of the humans.
Yeah.
It's just going to be easier without them.
Fun stories for the end of the show. There is a cool dinosaur that was discovered, and it's an ankylosaur, which is one of those neat dinosaurs with a club at the end of its tail covered in spikes. Right? They walk
Love
on all
those.
fours. And this was a very complete specimen found in Montana, northern Montana. It lived probably about 75 million years ago. And its skull, it was really well preserved where there's like skin and still preserved, dried, of course. But yeah, there are a lot of very, very well preserved specimen, which is incredibly exciting, especially for, if you're getting any amount of soft tissues. This potentially leads to I don't know, blood cells, DNA, interesting biological stuff that we can look at. The big fun that these dinosaur finders, paleontologists, have had in naming this dinosaur, my son is going to love it. They've named it Zool. Zool, after the demon god from Ghostbusters.
But what's its full name, Kiki? I just read this and I loved it.
And the full name is even better. Zool Crurivestator, which kind of translates as Zool, destroyer of shins.
Oh, they named it after you.
Because of the club. Yeah.
They named it after you, Kiki. Look at that.
Yeah, they should have called it Kiki Vestator, right? Crurivastator.
Oh my gosh, I think that's your new
Zool.
name.
Zool Kurivastator.
Vastator.
Kiki Kurivastator. That's right.
Oh my gosh.
Kiki, destroyer of shins. And
Kiki,
Zool.
destroyer of shins.
And Zool, destroyer of shins. Oh my goodness. Yes. Super fun dinosaur discovery. And then additionally, we were always talking about breastfeeding and babies and where does the bacteria in babies' guts come from. A new study looking at a bunch of mom-baby pairs and looking at the bacteria in the mother's breast milk, also in the bacteria on the skin of the breast and around the nipple, and in the baby's stool, which is the closest approximation to the bacteria in the actual gut of the babies, discovered that 30% of the bacteria in the baby's stool came from breast milk.
Oh, makes sense.
Only 10% of the bacteria came from the skin of the mother, which I thought was very interesting. There's a lot of bacteria in the breast milk already.
Interesting.
It's very, that I find
The probiotic shake, as it were.
pretty much. Pretty much. And then some ecologists looking at a species of lizard wanted to know what would happen with increased temperatures, like climate change kind of thing. If we increased the temperature in the summers about 3 degrees or so, how would it affect these lizards and their gut bacteria? Because these lizards are ectotherms, which means they do not produce their own heat, but actually manage their body heat by moving into the sun or out of the sun. They manage their temperature by absorbing energy. It's an interesting question as to how their gut bacteria would be affected by these shifts in temperature. And they found that there was a decrease in diversity in the gut bacteria of lizards when they shifted temperatures up. We don't know exactly what that means for the health of the lizards, but and they don't know where the decrease in diversity of bacteria came from, whether it's less bacteria just growing in the environment that they were held in, or just less bacteria being able to be maintained by this ectothermic individual. The end story is more questions to come regarding ectotherms and gut bacteria.
Well, with ectotherms and rising temperatures, I feel like there's a much bigger pressing issue, which is a lot of reptiles have temperature-dependent sex determination, which is just a couple degrees higher in nesting temperatures, and you get all of one sex. So we might not have to worry about the gut bacteria in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. So hey, we might not have to worry about it at all. So let's just stop doing the research. No.
Yeah.
Tell me your final stories, Blair.
Yes, I just have a story
Justin,
about.
Do you have one too?
I got one.
I have a story about fruit flies to follow with all the fruit fly brains we were talking about. I wanted to talk about a little something else about fruit flies, and that is, their genes. It turns out that insecticide resistance, you might think it was a good thing in fruit flies, but actually located on the same allele as that resistance to insecticide is a reduced courtship song, wing vibration. They chased females less. They were less likely to follow courtship with an attempt to mate. They had an increase in copulation latency, which is time spent courting before a female accepts them as a mate. So the ladies like them less. They were less likely to win in competitive mating trials, even if they were larger. And a lot of them would give up halfway through mating. That's called decamping. So halfway through mating attempt, they kind of just get distracted and stop. So all that stuff is located on the same allele as insecticide resistance. So,
I can explain this.
Oh, please.
What do you want? I'm the last man on earth. What are you going to do? Shop somewhere else? Hey, you know what? I'm done with you. I'm done with that's just it. I'm moving on. You know what? I'm bored. I'm gonna go get a sandwich. I'm not worried. I'm gonna find somebody else. I'm the last fly on earth. What do I care?
Well,
or the last male fly on earth.
That's like the Rodney Dangerfield of fruit flies.
That would be a dream. Like, all I'm getting at was respect. Who cares?
Tactic.
Not successful.
You don't need charm if you're the only male fruit fly.
But you do, because ladies don't know you're the only one.
They'll come around.
They're holding out.
Around. I got all week. Do I live a week? How long do I have? I've got
Just
like
a few.
I got like 2 days to get sorted.
Tell me your story, Justin.
This is the cover story of Chemical and Engineering News. Cosmetic makers are going after bacteria. They're studying beneficial bacteria. This is they're going to commercialize on it, probably whether it works or not. But we got companies like Johnson & Johnson, Procter & Gamble, L'Oreal, cosmetic heavyweights in the industry who are investing in microbiome research, trying to figure out if there's friendly bacteria that can help skin microbe imbalances. Maybe cures for acne, maybe it's to give color to the skin. Who knows what it is? But you look for this in the future. You're going to be telling you about ancient bacterial beauty secrets.
Bacterial beauty. I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. Yep. Get me that facial mask. I need the bacteria, the ones that, plump and tighten the skin.
It's not my exercise regime that makes me beautiful. It's not the genes I was born with. It's the bugs on my face.
That's right.
I just imagined a mask that came in a petri dish. Spreading some bacteria on.
That's awesome. I like it. Maybe it would help control face mites.
Oh.
Or maybe we feed them.
Or feed the face mites. Yeah, maybe the face mites are bacteria farmers of your face.
Yeah.
Yeah. So many interesting questions about the things that live on your face. Anyway, we have run to the end of our show yet again. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. It is time for me to thank our Patreon sponsors. Thank you, Chris Clark, Paul Disney, G. Burton Lattimore, John Rataswamy, Richard Onimus, Byron Lee, E.O., Kevin Parachan, Tyrone Fong, Angie Groh, Keith Corsell, Jake Jones, Charlene Henry, Byron Hedrick, John Gridley, Stephen Bickle, Kevin Railsback, Gerald Sarrells, Ulysses Adkins, Dave Friedel, James Randall, Bob Calder, Mark Rosaros, Ed Dyer, Trainer84, Layla Marshall, Clark, Laurie Garcia, Randy Mazuka, Tony Steele, Gerald Onyago, Steve DeBell, Greg Guthman, Time Jumper 319, XV, Daryl Lambert, Harun Sarang, Alex Wilson, Jason Schneiderman, Dave Neighbor, Jason Dozier, Matthew Litwin, Eric Knapp, Jason Roberts, Richard Porter, Rodney, David Wiley, Robert Aston, Dale Bryant, Aurora Lee, Todd Northcutt, Arlene Moss, Bill Kersey, Ben Rothig, Darwin Hannon, Rudy Garcia, Felix Alvarez, Brian Hone, Orly Radio, Brian Condren, Mark, Nathan Greco, Hexator, Mitch Neves, Flying Out, John Crocker, Christopher Dreyer, Artyom Shuwata, Dave Wilkinson, Steve Mashinsky, Rick Ramus, Gary Swinsberg, Phil Nadeau, Brexton Howard, Salgid Sam, Matt Sutter, Emmerich Grenier, Philip Shane, James Dobson, Kurt Larson, Stefan Insom, A Honey Moss, Mountain Sloth, Jim Trapeau, John Maloney, Jason Olds, James Paul West, Alec Doty, Luma Lama, Joe Wheeler, Dougal Campbell, Craig Porter, Adam Miskon, Aaron Luthen, Marjorie, David Simmerly, Tyler Harrison, and Columbo Ahmed. Thank you for your support on Patreon. And if you are interested in supporting us, you can find information at patreon.com/thisweekinscience. Also remember that you can help us out simply by telling your friends about TWIS. Do it today. And I want to say I totally forgot about
the new segment.
About the new segment of the show. I totally forgot about that, man. But I do have something in my email. Let's see. We did the allergy medications. Did I do the allergy medications in the clean water with your pill last week? Yes, I did that one. Somebody else sent me one. I need more. What did science do for you lately? People, you need to send me these things so that I actually have them to use in the show. If you can think of something that science has done for you today, send me an email, Kirsten at thisweekinscience.com, so we can put your answer in the segment, because I do want to do this every single week. I also want to, here it is, Brian Hedrick. Brian Hedrick, thank you for writing in this week. Brian Hedrick says, I'm a registered nurse and I work in an infectious disease clinic at an academic hospital. Every day we battle epidemics, save lives, and prevent death, disease, and disability. All of this would never exist without science. Science gives us the tools and structure to screen for, assess, diagnose, treat, and monitor disease, monitor modern scientific practices of medicine, the biochemical wonders of pharmaceuticals, the basic laboratory sciences of common blood and body fluid tests. All of this thanks to science. Science guides me daily and is a critical component of the art and science of nursing practice. Thank you, science. And thank you, TWIS team. I'm a TWIS addict for several years now. Thank you for all that you do to educate and entertain. And additionally, I would like to read a letter from another minion, Gerald Sarrells, whose name I read in our Patreon sponsors list. He wrote to me this last week and he said, hey, Dr. Kiki, TWIS created a minion back in 2010, and that's when I decided to become a science teacher, opposed to working endless dead-end jobs. It took me some years working 2 jobs and helping my wife get through nursing school, but we've made it. I'm afraid that this is only my associate's degree, but I owe it all to you guys. I had the TWIS logo with me as I took the stage. Next step is a 3-year program for a BS in teaching biology for secondary school. I owe both my wife and TWIS a lot for putting me on this road, and that's why I'm sharing this experience with you guys. Dr. Kiki, Justin, and Blair, keep up the good work. You're making a difference, 1 minion at a time. And I just want to show you guys these wonderful pictures of Gerald with the TWIS logo. With the TWIS logo.
Oh my God, it's too much.
His diploma.
I can't handle it, you guys.
I know, I'm tearing up, seriously.
That is fantastic.
And that right there is why we're here. Oh my gosh, that's great. Oh,
Gerald, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being a part of this. Brian Hedrick, thank you. Patreon sponsors, all our minions in the chat room. Thank you so much. It means so much. And we will be back next week because that's what we do, right? We'll be back once again broadcasting live online, 8 p.m. Pacific time on twis.org/live. Well, hopefully there, but at least on our YouTube page.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Our website's kind of broken at the moment, but hopefully we'll get it fixed by then. But anyway, you can join us on YouTube or Facebook as well. You can watch and join our chat rooms. But don't worry if you can't make it, because our past episodes will always be at youtube.com/user/thisweekinscience or at twis.org.
Thank you for enjoying the show. TWIS is also available as a podcast. Just Google This Week in Science in your iTunes directory. Or if you have a mobile type device, you can look for TWIS, the number 4, Droid app in the Android marketplace, or simply This Week in Science in anything Apple marketplacey. And also on something called Stitcher.
Yeah, that's right. For more information on anything you've heard here today, well, let's talk about that. Show notes at some point will be available on our website at www.twis.org. But don't go there now. For now.
Don't go there now. Don't go there right now.
Now, if you have questions about the things that we talked about today, contact us via the social medias and check out our YouTube. There's usually stuff in the descriptions. There'll be all sorts of good stuff and ways for you to get that info from us until our website goes back up. Once it's back up, that's again www.twis.org. You'll be able to make comments on our shows. You'll be able to start conversations with the hosts and listeners. In the meantime, stick to the social medias. Justin?
I think we said the website more in the rundown when the website's not up. Then we mentioned www.twis.org.
Fair point, but why don't you tell the people? Why don't you tell the people how to contact us, Justin?
Contact us directly. Email Kirsten at thisweekinscience.com, Justin at twistminion@gmail.com, or Blair at blairbaz@twis.org. Just be sure to put TWIS, TWIS, somewhere in the subject line, or your email will get spam filtered into oblivion along with our website. You can also hit us up on the Twitter, where we are at TWIS Science, at Dr. Kiki, at Jacksonfly, and at Blair's Menagerie. We love your feedback. If there's a topic you would like us to cover and address, a suggestion for an interview, a haiku that comes to you in the night, please let us know.
And we will be back here next week. We hope you'll join us again for more great science news.
And if you've learned anything from the show, remember,
it's all in your head.
This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science, it's the end of the world. So I'm setting up shop, got my banner unfurled. It says the scientist is in, I'm gonna sell my advice. Show them how to stop the robots with a simple device. I'll reverse global warming with a wave of my hand. And all it'll cost you is a couple of grand. This week's science is coming your way. So everybody listen to what I say. I use the scientific method for all that it's worth. And I'll broadcast my opinion all over the earth. Cause it's This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. 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 This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. 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 I've got one disclaimer and it shouldn't be news. That what I say may not represent your views, but I've done the calculations and I've got a plan. If you listen to the science, you may just better understand that we're not trying to threaten your philosophy. We're just trying to save the world from jeopardy. Jeopardy. And This Week in Science is coming your way. So everybody listen to everything we say. And if you use our method instead of rolling a die, we may rid the world of toxoplasma gondii. 'cause it's This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. 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 This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. 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 I've got a laundry list of items I want to address. From stopping global hunger to dredging Loch Ness. I'm trying to promote more rational thought, and I'll try to answer any question you've got. But how can I ever see the changes I seek when I can only set up shop 1 hour a week? This Week in Science is coming your way. You better just listen to what we say. And if you've learned anything from the words that we said, then please just remember it's all in your head. 'Cause it's This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. 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 This Week in Science. This Week in Science. This Week in Science. 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 This Week in 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 Science.
This Week in Science. We are in the post show. Boy, you guys.
This Week in Post Show.
Yeah, This Week in Post Show.
This Week in Post Show.
Yeah, so I'm texting my brother now to find out if he started looking at the website tonight. If what it looks like is his doing. It should be, because I don't think that anybody else is in there right now.
Well, and it was beneficial what got done, even if it was a bummer. At least it stripped it down to functional elements for right now.
Yeah, it's got last week's show on it. I mean, it's a little weird. And it's got old links that I don't want people to buy any t-shirts. I don't have those t-shirts.
Oh, no.
Oh my God, it's funny. I'm like, that's not the website.
Rocket-powered site version 2.0 every Tuesday, 8:30 to 9:30 a.m.
This is the old site. It's even got a link to Justin's old book.
Oh no.
Justin had a book?
Yeah.
I read a
Get
really
out
bad
of
book.
town.
I read a really bad book, and there's a poorly edited version of it available for sale for a reasonable price of.
Where is that? I don't see it anywhere.
Yeah, if you scroll down, it's right down. You just gotta scroll down a little bit. It's right there.
It's terrible.
Oh me. And it looks like it has a working link to your Lulu page. That's funny. Okay, so what happened to the website? Well, initially I had it on a server, and RN-Lore told me that I should upgrade the server and then to a new operating system, or just upgrade the server so I could upgrade WordPress so I could improve security, because he's like, RN-Lore's like, there are a lot of holes in your security right now. You could get hacked. And I was like, okay. And so then I was like, all right, why don't we let me call my hosting company and I'll see what I can do about that. And they were like, okay, well, here's the story. You can't really just upgrade. You could upgrade your server, but it's not going to help you really long, because we're going to basically redo all the servers soon anyway. So what we recommend is you migrate everything over to a new server that's running this new operating system with a new interface. And I was like, oh, okay, well, let's do that. And then they helped with that. But then the migration got weird. And then there was this stuff about DNS things, about redirecting, and like all the, my brain went like, what? And then, yeah, exactly. And I was like, but I don't know what to do anymore. And so now I've since, I don't know, last August or so, I've been paying for 2 servers.
Oh no.
Because I still, the website has been on the old server since I wanted to do something, and then I set up the new server and migrated stuff over. But then it got weird, and then like in October, November, I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to do it again because we need to do this. And so I tried the migration again, and then the migration then went really wonky, and I was like, things are broken. This is not working at all. And so still no update on the WordPress, no update on the site, blah, blah, blah. Finally, we got hacked. And so basically,
Did we really?
we got majorly hacked, and
Oh.
hacked in a way that whoever got in at top level access to the server, and was changing files right and left and redirecting stuff to sell sex enhancement drugs on the internet. And yeah, so people started emailing me and messaging me and go, saying, hey, twist.org is sending us to, its links are all weird.
Oh, this is horrible.
Yeah, it was terrible. And I was like, okay. And then our in-law started fixing it a little bit, and he got rid of the first instance, but then he didn't realize, at that point in time, we didn't realize how deep the hack went. And yeah, so anyway, I've finally gotten in with this hosting company, changed all the passwords, and hopefully now the hacker is not able to have access to the server anymore. But in the process of trying to fix things, before I changed the passwords, I was trying to change some of the hacked pages back to their original format. And as I was doing it, I watched him start deleting things.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So as I was trying to fix things, because I didn't realize exactly what was going on, and as I was trying to do it, like all of a sudden, my WP config file, which is like the essential file for configuring your WordPress website with your server, the install with the server, like it's gone. I can't find it. It's gone. And so now I have a completely not working website, but there are lots of the old posts are still on the server. And yeah. So now that I'm stuck in a place where I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And things are really broken, and the website's really broken, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it fixed. And I don't have, and I'm like, just to fix the migration and all this stuff is going to be hours of work of some IT guy, and it's going to cost it's going to be like $1,000 or more for all of the issues to be fixed. And I am partially, we've got YouTube and Facebook and all these other things. Part of me is just like, burn it to the ground. I don't care.
As long as the show archive is good, I'm happy.
Yeah, no, we've got the archive still,
and part that I really cared about. So
I don't know. Maybe there's a backup somewhere. WI guy, like I just let the website do its thing, and I thought that the hosting company, I think the hosting company was supposed to be providing backups. It's a managed VPS, so it should be providing backups. I wasn't personally backing it up because I'm not an IT person and I'm doing all sorts of other things, and so it wasn't on my list of things to do. So yeah, nope. But there, at one point before the hacking happened, we did migrate everything over to the new server. So if we can figure out how to access all the stuff on the new server, that should be all the files should be on the new server.
That's good.
So that should be there, but I can't figure out how to get into it, and it's just not configured right.
It never synced up right to the new server.
It's all broken, and I'm just gonna cry, and I don't know what to do. I've cried a lot in the last couple of weeks. Yuck. In the last week, there have been many tears because I just look at things and I feel like a monkey pounding at a computer going,
it would be an ape. It would be an ape, not a monkey. But...
An ape. Thank you. Yeah. Outsourcing. Yeah. Yes.
Well, so if anyone would like to step up and take on this work.
So my brother is helping right now, and he's been helping. And so this is why I'm texting him to find out if he's the person who made the website at least look like the old website.
Well-
Which I'm guessing he is, but I texted him and I haven't heard back yet. So because he's been helping me a bit on the hacking stuff. But yeah. Yeah, the hosting company needs to nuke and pave the old server. Exactly. There's a hole in that server, like as big as the Grand Canyon, as wide as the Grand Canyon. Blah.
Speaking of though, like you mentioned, like this, the current site is saying that we're on it Tuesday mornings.
Mhm.
I know. Something to
header-
fix, right?
Our header on the YouTube still says we're on Thursday nights.
Oh no.
Where's that?
The intro, like, this is TWIS,
Oh,
right?
no.
It's like every Thursday. What time? It's Thursday. When are we live? We're
Oh,
live
right.
on Thursday.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yes, our
So we need
video.
to-
We need to make a new video.
Yeah.
make a
Ooh,
new
we can do
video
it in
or just-
Philly.
Oh,
Or
we
just
could-
do a bad edit of that one where whenever we're saying Thursday, it says Wednesday. Every Wednesday.
that would be really funny, actually.
Yeah.
That would go right along with the style of that video.
Yeah.
It would too.
That would be funny. Or we could record a new one in
Yeah.
Philly while we're all together.
At the Philly Zoo,
could,
you
although
guys.
We're not going to have time to go to the
No, I'm
Philly,
not going. No, stop. You're not dragging me to another zoo.
Okay.
That's the last zoo I'm going to see on a trip.
Mm,
I love zoos. Zoos are great, but
no
can't
more
just be the
zoos.
zoo every time.
Well, I want
Maybe this time you'll follow me to a bar. See, we could all share the things that we like
We
to
share
visit
the
when we travel.
things.
There's time for both, Justin.
All right. All right.
Time
Speaking
for
of-
all these things.
It's
Yes.
coming up. We got to buy our flight soon, huh?
Yes. And that was something there. I believe there are direct flights for Blair. No, there's not. Is there not?
Yeah, there's for Blair, but not
Yeah.
for me. And maybe not for
Yeah.
you, Kiki.
No, I think there was from Portland, actually.
Not from Sack of Tomato International.
Yeah. I'm going to open up
Which just basically means
Sacramento.
I'm doomed.
to.
Well, you could drive to
Um,
San Francisco. But,
So it's
No,
like
no, no. You can fly to Portland. You
oh,
can
yeah, fly to Portland.
Yeah, even
There
better.
you go.
You can fly to Portland and then we can fly together. And I think that was.
That sounds awesome. I get the window seat.
Okay.
Oh, wait, it's a red eye. Oh, that won't even matter.
Portland to. And it is a red eye. It's a red eye. But I think if we go like Thursday night, if we leave Thursday night the 8th and do the red eye, then we can sleep a little bit before we actually go try and set things up at the facility, which would be nice.
Okay.
So we could like at least have some time to rest and decompress, as opposed to doing a red eye that gets us there on Saturday morning, having to hit the ground
Right.
running.
Yeah,
I
that
can do
was
a red
rough.
eye on
We
the
did
8th.
that. We did that New York one time. That was rough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both times, didn't we?
No, I think the second time we got it a little bit more right. I think we had
Oh,
like
okay.
a day, but the first time we got there in the morning
Yes.
and slept for like 4 hours and then did the show or something
Yep,
ridiculous
yep,
like
yep,
that.
yep.
Like,
And originally they weren't going to let us into a hotel room.
yeah, because we got there too early, so we were just
Yeah.
gonna sleep in their lobby, and then they were like, "Okay,
Yeah.
all right, go here. Here's the key."
Yeah. Go to your room. Go to your room. So Ed, so the Science Island site's been down for a while. Was that a hack also, or just something broke? I want to know what's going on there. But Chanusku is making a new website for Science Island, which is awesome. Can't wait to see how that comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see what he does. Okay, San Francisco. Let's see.
What if
I'm
Blair
looking
flies to
June.
Portland too?
I could.
That would probably be more expensive.
Yeah, I would bet.
Oh,
So, what do you know, Blair? I know you were talking about maybe taking some extra days. Is that something?
Mm,
Are you just going to want to go?
I would like to fly back on probably at least the afternoon, maybe evening on Monday.
Could you fly Thursday night?
Yes, please.
Okay, great. And then
I have to
and
be at
then
work on
Monday.
Thursday during the day, but then
Okay.
yeah, I can fly out Thursday night for sure.
Okay, and then Monday you'd want to go back.
Monday later in the day, yeah.
Monday later in the day. Awesome. And then let's see. And then I do the same for me leaving. And then yeah, Alaska. It's Alaska Airlines. It's awesome. Sunday. I wonder if we can go back Sunday night. I'd love to fly back a red eye too. But anywho. Yeah, so there's a nonstop flight from Portland, which is so weird, but it's a red eye. There is nonstop from San Francisco. Would you prefer American or United?
Me?
Yeah, Blair from San Francisco.
If
American
they overbook,
United?
if they overbook United, you're like guaranteed 10 grand,
Right.
which might be worth it. Might be worth flying.
Well,
that out.
I have a frequent flyer number with United, so I wouldn't mind doing that.
Okay. All right, and then yeah, and then I'll figure out Justin's also.
And actually, if you
I think it's American and Alaskan.
if you want to if it's a United flight anyway, I can just purchase it and you can reimburse me if you want, and then I can
You can get what you want.
get the miles and the like
Oh, you're gonna love
advanced
it.
boarding and everything.
Yeah, the flight there, you're gonna get a red eye too.
Yes.
Boom.
I like red eyes.
Boom, we're all gonna red eye.
Okay, here, let me open my United
Yeah, because
app.
Blair can actually sleep on an airplane.
Yes, I can.
I can't.
I
Justin, you and I
won't.
are gonna be so strung
Really?
out on the
Yeah.
Okay,
I
bad.
do
so
not
let's
sleep
see
on
what
airplanes.
flight.
Okay. Oh, but you know what's awesome? I think we might have a Ulysses coming to be a helper,
Oh, that's great.
a production assistant on Saturday
Nice.
and Sunday, which would be awesome.
Are we going to PHL? Is that what we're doing?
Philadelphia, right? Are there
It
other
said there were 2 airports. We're going
Yeah.
to PHL, right?
So we're
airports?
I don't know where we're staying. Do we know where we're staying yet? Are we
No.
staying near the?
Our hotel is taken care of.
Oh, it is? For
Yeah.
which nights?
But where is it?
For I think Thursday through Monday night, our hotels are taken care of.
Oh, fancy.
Oh, I'm a window seat person, Whiskey. I like the window. But, I'll do an aisle also. That's fine, but I prefer window because then I can like take my little pillow or my jacket and wad it up and lean against the wall, especially on a night an all-night flight.
Okay, what were you looking at? Were you looking at this 10:45 p.m.?
Ed has a certificate issue. Yeah, now they're talking website stuff in the chat room, and I'm like, haha, there's all that language.
No idea what any of it means.
I know. No, I tell people that I'm like having a website problem, and then they start throwing all this language at me, and I'm like, look, talk to me like I am from another country and don't speak your language.
All right,
I
Hot
don't
Rod wants me
speak
to
the
check
website
our
language.
SSH version. Okay, here it goes. Shh. Yeah, it seems pretty good. Pretty straight to the point.
Time to nerd up. I'm working on it. That's
I
right. I'm trying. I mean, I've learned the WordPress stuff. I've learned a lot already, and I know things. I know some things. I know enough to cause trouble. It's like somebody knowing enough about science to think that they know as much as a doctor, But I know that I don't know as much as people who actually work in the field. I should not be messing with websites because I will break them.
I don't like your analogy just because I don't think you have to know much about science to be a doctor. I think you have to know
To
a
be a
lot about the
scientist.
connection between symptoms and
Okay,
diseases.
thank you for making it. Thank you for fixing my analogy.
But they're more mechanics with utilizing the toolbox of science in what they do. But my perception of doctors is that they sometimes don't understand necessarily the science behind things. Although I will say, an ailment that I had never encountered or heard of before. My daughter went to a bouncy house and complained that her wrist hurt afterwards. And then but it was after after a birthday party and had gone to bed. So the next morning we're hanging out and I'm noticing she's like telling me the story about how her arm got pulled and now her wrist hurts when she was in the bouncy house. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, it's fine. We'll take a look at it here. And she wouldn't let me touch it. I'm like, okay, so I'm just kind of watching. And then we set out on her day and she was not using her left arm. She would use her right arm for everything, but her left arm's just hanging there. Like she won't even bend it at the elbow to grab for something, let alone her wrist.
Ooh.
So I'm like, okay, we're going to the doctor.
Yeah, that's not good.
So we go to the doctor unannounced. And they're like, do you have an appointment? I'm like, no. Did you call first? No. Well, next time you should really call first. I'm like, fine, I'm here. But I will wait, whatever. Like, then they got us in, and her doctor happened to be there. This is my little 4-year-old. And he looks it over, and he's like, okay, well, I'm pretty sure I know what this is. I'm going to send you down for an x-ray first, but then I think we can take care of this. And it turned out, the x-ray was clean. Turned out it's something called nursemaid's elbow.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Yeah, so it's the arm gets pulled and it's actually up near the elbow. A little tendon or something gets stuck between the bone and the elbow. And even though she felt the pain in her wrist, it was actually something that was referred. It was referred pain, right, from the elbow. And so he did this like quick manipulation thing. Ba-dum. He's like, I felt the click, that little click pop right there. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. 10 minutes later, she was fully using both hands again.
That's awesome. Yay, doctor.
Yeah. So I don't ever mean to belittle the knowledge of doctors because he right away had seen it, knew what it was, knew how to cure it, knew how to fix it, and took precautions just to make sure it wasn't something else before manipulating the arm back, that sort of bit of tendon or whatever it was out of the pinch zone. But it's sort of like using all of the tools of knowledge and science, and they have to know an incredible array of things. To be a doctor, you have to have an amazing memory, an ability to recognize a problem and know what its solutions might be in order to be a good doctor. But it's a little different than the work of science. Like when I think of somebody in a lab who's working on mechanisms or trying to discover mechanisms, they're working with the toolbox and developing the toolbox. They're more about science is largely focused on, and at least medical science, largely focused on developing new tools and discovering new mechanisms. And it is sort of removed. From what a doctor does. As an example, my friend who is the biochemist who works for the Department of Health, who they send samples to him from doctors' offices all across actually many counties, and he puts it through machine, reads results, figures out what the particular strains of swabs or diseases or ailments might be, and then sends it off to the doctor in a translated version. Right? Doesn't send the raw data, doesn't name the bacteria necessarily, but says what the disease is, what the ailment is, they have to translate it back into more common language for the doctors to be able to do anything with it, because the doctors have different field of training. So they're, I don't know, working with the tools of science, but not necessarily. I just don't think of doctors as scientists.
No, not always. More technicians, engineers. There are some doctors who are scientists and work to do science while they're doing their doctoring and their medicine. But they learn the results of science.
Del Poco has it right. A good general practitioner is one who can redirect you to the right specialist. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, all these people. talking about web IT. Okay. So I will, Blair, I was messaging you. Did you see my messages?
No, is it via? Oh, it is
The group chat.
via this.
We can, yeah. Flights.
Okay. Yes, that looks good. I will do it right now.
Okay. Awesome. And
oh, it ended up being cheaper than that.
oh, really?
How did that happen?
That's awesome. That's what I was going. Maybe you have specials. What flights?
Yeah, I think I have special
Special cookies.
stuff.
Yeah.
So Friday,
looking-
June 9th, 10:45 p.m.
No.
Oh,
No.
sorry, not Friday. Why did that happen?
Thursday. That's
That's
probably
why it was different.
And actually, you might
It's a
find
weird
that your
one.
payment will be higher, Blair, than what Kiki would look up, because you're already one of their customers.
That's true.
They know your pain threshold for paying is going to be a little bit higher because you have miles incentives. You're a little invested in the thing. And Kiki clicking on for the first time with no cookies might look like a conquest customer. So they want to get her on board for the first time. So they're going to give her an even better deal. In fact, they may
And I
send
always use
armed guards to
incognito
remove
windows.
you from the plane before
Oh,
it departs,
boy.
just so that they can get that new customer.
Get off the
Because your pain threshold
plane.
for what you'll put up with is probably higher than Kiki's.
Right. Well, that's why you always search for the flight before you log in,
Yeah, very good. Very good.
because then they don't change the flight price after you've already been quoted. Then you sign in to check out.
Very well done.
Okay, so I see. Okay, 10:45 on Thursday p.m. Arriving at 7:15 a.m. When would you guys arrive on Friday?
If everything goes as planned, 5 a.m.
Ah! So you're not going to wait at the airport for me for 2 hours.
We might. I mean, why not? I don't know. We'll go rent our car and then like fall asleep in that.
rental car.
And just goes fall asleep in the rental car in the rental car lot for 2 hours.
Okay, and then I'm going to fly out. Oh gosh. Yeah, I guess 6 p.m. on Monday.
Nice. We're going to end up leaving Justin at 6 a.m. on Monday.
Oh,
Which means
yeah.
we have to get up really early.
That one I need the window seat for. That's when I call the window seat, because I want to be able to look at the window the whole time. I will arrive with a completely stuck neck, needing to go to a chiropractor. But I love. Oh, and we got to be on the south side of the plane. That's.
I'm grabbing my credit card. Hold on.
Because there's
South
nothing
side
to
of
look
the
at on the
plane.
north side of the plane.
Okay. I'm going to book this flight for myself. Oh, where's my credit card? I put it somewhere. I'm just going to hold this right here.
Okay. Kiki, I'm going to buy it right now if you're ready.
Oh, yeah, we're going to do it. I mean,
Okay, great.
I don't have any reason not to at this point in time.
Okay, great. I'm doing it.
We got to pull the plug on it or the prices are going to go up. So
Yes. I know, this is like the perfect time to book.
yeah, usually about a month out, right?
Yeah. Perfect. Okay, pins are no longer accepted, by the way. And I have to remember what my password is. Oh, okay. I figured it out. We don't recognize this device. What color was the home you grew up in?
Oh my goodness.
What is
That's a
your
question?
favorite type of reading?
I need to make an Alaska account. I think I'm
Words.
going to end up using
And
lots of
tea leaves.
Alaska.
And the
here.
flight of birds. Those are my 3 top choices. I'm going to go with flight of birds.
How do I make? I
Okay,
don't
good.
have an account. How do I make an
Yes,
account?
save these. Okay, great. Okay.
Continue.
Okay, great.
I know this is the fun part of.
If you've ever wanted to watch people trying to order
Importance.
plane tickets in coordination,
Oh my god.
This is your channel.
Yeah.
It's almost as exciting as the channel where people eat things.
All right. Okay, I need to confirm that I'm not going to pack any fireworks. Good. Oh, I get to select my seat.
Ooh.
Yes. Window. Don't
Always
mind if I
fun.
do.
Going.
Bloop.
Oh.
Good night, Fada. I will call you. I saw your offer and your message. I'm going to talk to my brother and see what's going on his end, and then I will call you or text you or whatever. Use a device.
Window.
Yeah.
Don't
Things is
mind if I do.
broken.
I'm going to sit on a window seat and make all these people move when I have to pee. So I can sleep.
Thank
Sorry.
you, Fada. Yes. Sorry.
Let's see. Trip insurance? No. I'm going to Philly.
Oh my
Premier
God,
access?
really?
No.
How's this flight booked so much already? This is crazy. Ugh.
Payment
There
information.
might not be any window seats for you, Justin.
What?
No, it's weird. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know what's going on.
Okay. I hit the button.
Good night, Ben. You hit the button. That's good.
Processing.
I'm working on this stuff. Should we hang up with the feed and while we do this boring stuff?
I guess, probably.
Yeah. They're boring details. We're just sitting here talking to each other and making flights. Okay, there's me on a plane with seats. Portland to Philadelphia, Philadelphia to Portland. Ta-da. And then and now I need to go find my credit card.
I can upgrade to first class for only $600.
Only 600. Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
one way. It's another almost 700 on the way back.
Oh my goodness.
Whoa. No thanks. No, thank you, sir or madam. Hard pass.
Oh dear.
My good
I'll be right back.
United Airlines fellow. Do 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 do. Now it's asking me what all these other stuff. We don't recognize this device.
This room is very warm. Summer is coming. Good gracious.
Let's see. Oh yes, because I used my account, I also don't have to pay for checked baggage.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes.
And maybe I'll just send things to you to put in your baggage.
You absolutely can.
Wait, no, you can't put things
That
in your baggage
sounds-
from other people.
That sounds backwards.
You're not. That's very. They're gonna ask you that like 50 times.
No.
I know the economy plus seat was tempting. It was only like $30 for all this extra legroom. I was like, okay.
Hope I got it right. Buying flights. Yeah, let Blair carry the weed. Exactly.
Guys, come on with this. I already have a hard time at the airport because I once bought a one-way ticket to the Middle East. Okay.
Oh my goodness. Okay, Justin. Questions for
What'd I
you.
do?
Yeah, when do
Yes.
you what? Okay, here we go. Alaska. Here's your flight. You're like, yes. Oh boy, what? When could you leave on Thursday?
Well, whenever you need me to.
Okay. Do you want to hang out in Portland for a day?
Buh.
Sure.
Yeah, because I've got I can save about $75 if you leave at 9 in the morning, as opposed to
On yeah, okay.
Thursday, on Thursday the 8th, as opposed to on 2 in the afternoonish. 2 in the afternoonish would probably be easier for you, huh?
Oh, by far.
Hmm?
Yeah, that would
Yeah.
that would work best.
Yeah.
Oh no.
What?
Stupid cloud. Can't find my so Janeska was asking about the radio play, and so I was gonna go look for it and upload the old one. But it's not there anymore.
Not there. What?
Stupid cloud. Which means that might have been the only copy too.
Oh no, really?
Yeah,
not
could have
good.
been. Yeah, CDs are so randomly destroyable.
Right. Kitten had the door open. The kitten's coming to say hi.
Kitten,
She's not a kitten anymore.
let me see the kitten.
Kitten. Oh, Cappy. There's a kitty.
Oh, it's such a cute one. I want to
Mhm.
squish it.
I know, she's squishable. She's very sweet.
What's her name?
Cappy.
Cappy. And what's the other one's name?
Stella.
Stella. And you got them at the same time.
Oh,
right?
here they go.
I did. I did. They're sisters. They look very different.
Mhm.
They're very different personalities. They look very different. They're sisters. Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, pretty kitty. Same mom. Might have been different dads. Never do know. $279 and $343. That's probably the difference. Pet the Toxo. Yeah, she's the Toxo cute.
So toxo and adorable.
Oh, she wants to eat my cord. You want to play, don't you? She likes to play with strings. All right.
Okay, we did a
Change the
thing. This
order
is
of these
great.
things.
Justin, would it be easier for you to leave at what, 1:45, 2 o'clock in the afternoon? Probably.
Yeah, either of those in the afternoon are fine. Yeah.
Afternoon is fine. Okay.
Yeah, it's better. What am I? No,
Great.
stop that.
We did it, you guys. We did a thing.
You did a thing. I have to do this other thing. There's a lot of things. So many things. Why are there so many things?
Oh, righty.
Clicked on that. Okay. All right. Return flight. And we're going to say that 6:05 a.m. flight, right? Boom, boom. That's the one. Okay.
Oh my God, that's a really old picture of me.
What old picture? I want to see it. Share.
Hang on. I gotta go to the chat room to. Oh, where's the chat room? Oh, here it is. Okay. All right. I don't know if this works. Somebody needs to try this and see. I had to make public again. I don't know why I privatized my SoundCloud. Oh, I can check it now because now I'm there.
Okay, let's see. Thursday, June 8th, 1:45 p.m. Arrives in Portland in the afternoon. Leaves
Reverse order.
Portland at night. We
Okay,
have the
this
red eye,
is
same
like that.
flight.
I had it.
Philadelphia, we're leaving at the same time. And then leave Portland. You go to Sacramento. That should be great on Monday. Ta-da. What? A list of TWIS subscribers. I don't have a list of subscribers in my email. I don't understand. What? Where would I have that? Okay, passenger 1. It's not Justin. Jackson. Mail. I've asked you this so many times. Can you Justin, can you in the group chat, can you tell me your birthday day and year? And then
Well, I know it's December 11th.
I know that much.
And it's sometime in the 80s.
Uh-huh.
I know.
Ah. Could be. What could have been? Let me find the thing. Okay.
In the Google group chat bit that's private for the conversation we're having. Kitties. Aha, that's right. Okay, got that. And then
Rob the Invisible, that's your daughter's birthday. It's the best birthday ever.
I was going to say it's only a day off from the best day ever.
It is the best birthday ever.
Nope. Come on. Don't you just love the symmetry of 12-12?
Yeah,
I have
it's too overbearing.
right there.
There was a lot of good science news this week. I had trouble picking.
I had no too. I yawned when I said it.
There's
Yeah,
a lot of good news this week for sure.
I really liked that how bears kind of do like twist and shout in the dirt to scent mark.
Tell me that. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, Janiscu, I'm really tired.
I'm tired too.
I didn't sleep well last night. I did that thing where I was finishing my twist prep last night and I almost fell asleep on my laptop at like 8:45 and I was like, okay, I'm gonna finish this up. So I finished it up and then I turned out all the lights and I tried to go to sleep at 9:30 and at 11 o'clock I was still awake. Then I woke up a million times during the night.
That's not good sleep. Full moon keeping you awake. Lots of light, probably.
I have blackout curtains.
Oh, that's awesome.
My room is very dark.
That's great.
Yeah, I love it. I need it to be real dark.
I need to get. Well, I don't need the blackout curtains. I'm like turning into the weird old man. I have been over the years. Like, there's so many electronic devices in the house. Everything from those what do you call it? Where you plug stuff in, but the circuit breaker. Well, it's not circuit breaker. Surge protectors. From surge protectors to the Wi-Fi to the computers to the TV, like all those little lights that they have, little LEDs that they have around. It's like living at high noon in this house.
Right.
With
Yes.
electronic light. So I've been using electrical tape, cutting off little pieces, just covering whatever stupid, annoying light that tells me the thing's on. Because I already got it figured out. I know it's on. I don't need a stupid little light to tell me. So I'm putting a little electrical tape on everything.
The other option, Justin, is to get those surge protectors that are remote controlled, right? And then plug everything into those, turn everything off, and go to sleep.
Why would you ever want to do that?
To save energy. Energy vampires, Justin. Energy vampires.
How are you going to listen to Alfred Hitchcock Presents while you sleep if everything's turned off?
Well, you don't plug that one into that. But everything else you plug into your surge protectors.
Yeah, and I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to sleep for 3 days because the alarm never went off. See, like,
don't plug that one into that surge protector either.
But the alarm's over here.
You don't need Wi-Fi. You don't need your TV.
I know, because that's how I get the signal to listen to Alfred Hitchcock Presents.
No, you download it first. This is all avoidable without using all this energy unnecessarily.
By the way, my Chrono Cruisers Jack feedback parts 1 and 2 are now downloadable from SoundCloud. I got in there, I found them, I made them visible, and now they're downloadable. So now I have copies. So now they exist forever.
That's great. But the one that I was on is still lost forever, right?
That one never got recorded.
Yeah.
We did a recording. It was like there was a problem.
It was like a 6-hour day.
It was, and there was a problem in the board, and I was suspicious, but we had a sound engineer who's a good guy who's been doing it for years, but he never, because it's never failed. Studio A at KDVS had never failed that epically before, but there was something not plugged in right. There was just over everything.
Oh, man. Sometime we'll have to do that again. That was fun. Yeah. I feel like I'd be better at it this time around.
That means it'll be terrible. You were a natural before.
No.
Just straight, honest, and just great delivery every time. And now you're gonna be like, now I'm acting.
Yeah.
Look at my acting voice. It's so acting.
No, what I'll do is I'll use some excellent vocal fry.
That would be good for a particular character, maybe.
I still want
of the character.
I still want to get you to read an entire Cliff Note Shakespeare play.
Yeah.
Vocal fry.
I read some of Shakespeare on the air before.
Forget all the Zazzle Dazzle store stuff we're doing. I think Blair's Shakespearean Cliff Notes and vocal fry.
Yes,
win the internet.
Actually, that is something that I still need to talk to Kiki about too, but we'll talk off air.
Oh, did I just give up a project?
No.
Don't tell me. By the way, people of the planet Earth, don't give me any secrets because I'm not good at keeping them.
Oh, crap. I got all the way to the end and I realized I almost bought you a ticket home on Sunday instead of Monday.
That would have been problematic.
Yeah. How do I fix that? I need to fix it. Do I just have to back up? Darn it. Where do I fix it? I just have to start over, huh? Aha, that's the problem. We're going to go backwards. Return flight, Monday. There we go. Dun, dun, dun. You guys, we're being boring to people on the air. Why don't we hang up this show?
Great.
Good night, Minions. Thank you for sticking with us. We look forward to seeing you again every week as we manage the minutia here on Minutia Management 101. How to sort out annoying details, long form.
Very long form. Thank you very much.
We love you for hanging out with us every time.
Yeah. Every
Good night, white guy.
Thank you.
Not flying out is riveted.
Riveted. What are they doing? Minutia. Have a wonderful night, everybody. We'll see you again next week, we hope. Thank you.
Good night.
Rosa, I haven't seen you in a while. What's going on, bud? Good night. Good night, Ed.